to you. Freedom becoming true. Nobody else like you. Do what you promised to, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your love. I'm so grateful, grateful, grateful. I'm so grateful. I need you in my life. Grateful, grateful,
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? We are live. Thank you for being here. It is Tuesday night, and we doing what we do. We're going to talk about some stuff going on. You know, it's a lot of stuff shifting in the political realm. You know, they are panicking on the Biden front. They're making up stuff, crazy stuff on the Trump front now. You know, I want to talk about the shenanigans at the BET Awards a little bit. We're going to get into some of Candace Owens' new show. She's been talking about some crazy stuff lately, but a lot of stuff to talk about. We're happy you're here. Make sure you like and share the video. You are watching Young Lion TV. Let's go.
young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That sound means that we are live when you hear that. It's the Young Lion TV podcast, and we are live right now on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Facebook. And we appreciate everybody who is joining us already. I didn't share the video yet. Make sure you guys share this video if you're watching right now. Please help us, because the algorithm does not help us in any way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, we got one of our videos blocked last week on YouTube. They totally removed it, and we got a warning. For some BS, yes.
What was the warning for?
Some BS. Hold on. Why am I not hearing you?
Check.
Hey, check.
Hey.
Let me see.
Hey. Check.
Your mic is sounding weird.
Check.
I don't hear it at all.
Let me see. Is it this one?
Check. Hey.
Check.
Keep going. You won't.
Check.
No, that should be you there.
Hey.
Ch-ch-ch.
Check.
Oh, I see why. There we go.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
There you are. Let me bring you back a little bit. Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway,
Have to switch out some chords.
yeah, we had a video get blocked the other day. They gave a BS reason for some copyright infringement, but there was no copyrighted material that they named. But whatever. You know, again, the point of that was that we need you guys to share this video and help us keep spreading the word, let people know that we're live right now, because the algorithm is totally against us. The type of stuff that we talk about gets banned and blocked and censored all the time. But again, we are the Young Lion TV podcast. We are a group of brothers, husbands, sons, fathers, you know, friends. We grew up together. We've been through a lot of things. We've seen a lot of things, especially as our time in the music industry and traveling around the world and being on tour and doing all that stuff and being in the belly of the, okay, who's that? Being in the belly of the beast, if you will. But yeah, so that informed a lot of the decisions that we've made and helped us grow from, and things that we've learned along the way. So we like to talk about those things and give our perspective on the stuff that's going on in the world, whether it's political stuff, whether it's cultural things, whether it's relationship stuff, or just pop culture, whatever. We talk about those things, but all through our lens and our perspective of being led to Christ along the way, and that shaping everything that we do and building that community, having that trust with each other, and iron sharpening iron, that whole thing. We've always had these kind of conversations just coming up, and it's something that we like to have live on the podcast now, to just kind of like show a different perspective on things, show how men can talk about real issues and not only have like comedy podcasts, sport podcasts, dumb stuff that we get painted as in the media, toxic masculinity. But if that's something that you can get behind, again, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, let them know that we're live right now. And we also have a merch that you can get. It's on our website, jatan.com/shop. We have our merch available there. We have different options if you want to support what we do. And also go head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv. For as little as $3 a month, you can become a member and support what we do, help grow the pride of the Young Lions. We have a community that keeps building and growing. And we want to just keep growing on that and get this thing going and really build a community where we can come together. We can have events. We can have meetups. We can, have men's retreats, women's retreats, all kind of things. We have a lot of big plans for this thing, but we need you guys to support in order to do all those things. So patreon.com/youngliontv, become a member over there. And also, if you want to just donate to the cause, $youngliontv on Cash App. Other than that, I got the fellas with me tonight. My brothers are in the building. Of course, I got the coolest Asian in the world. He's rocking the Jatan merch right there. You can see it. He is Mr. Simone Chang in the building. Yes, sir.
Shorts are a little longer.
His short, you can't see his shorts.
Down.
You can't see his shorts today, so
I did not pull him down.
he's wearing long shorts.
He's just saying that because his is shorter than mine.
No, because you did pull them down. I don't think you realized it, though. Yeah.
Maybe I did.
Which
I don't know.
Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And of course, next to him is my big brother, but he's everybody's big brother. If you know, you know. And he's rocking the yellow Adidas with the matching Young Lion. You're kind of looking Bumblebee-ish today, I gotta say.
Hey, man, I'll be a Bumblebee.
Bumblebee-ish.
I'll be a Bumblebee.
I liked it. As soon as I walked in the room, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
nice.
Steelers, right? Steelers vibes. But he's my big brother. He's everybody's big brother. He is the preacher, the teacher, the people reacher, Mr. Jacob Eugene Evans III.
What's up? So today,
Okay.
I want to say
Yeah.
congrats to Spain
Why?
because they made it to the finals of the Euro Cup.
Why do you care about Spain? Yeah, I
I
just
just
spilled coffee on my laptop.
Dude, you better. Why? I care about Spain because I watch Spanish football, and I know a lot of the players.
And he
That's
has
all.
Spanish blood in him.
And I have Spanish blood.
Yeah, but we don't root for that Spanish.
Dude, you better get a napkin for that. Yeah, but we have Spanish blood. And I
You
know
need to be rooting for USA.
mostly I know the players, and my favorite team is Barcelona.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So that's why.
That's the reason.
and-
but they are good, though.
Yeah, they are.
The style of play is, really.
Yeah. Well, they haven't
Really?
been good for a while. That's why they're starting to come up again. And the guy who scored like an amazing goal today, he's only 16. So he scored he's the youngest goal scorer in history
In the Olympics.
in the
oh, not
Euro.
the
in the
Olympics.
Euros, right? But here's the funny part, dude, because he's like they're comparing him because he plays on the left, the right wing. They're comparing him to Messi, right? Because he's so good at a young age. And then they found this picture of Messi holding him as a baby.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you can find it, Jamie, but they found a picture of Messi holding him. There was like this UNICEF, because they used to be connected to UNICEF, Barcelona. So I think he came over.
Lamine.
Lamine Yamal. Yeah.
Lamine?
And some, you know how the internet is. They just found this.
Is that a Spanish name?
No, it's I think he's from Morocco or something like that.
That's him right there, right?
Oh.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow.
So isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Messi's holding him as a baby. This kid, that baby would go on to play at Barcelona in the
He's
same.
playing for Barcelona too?
He plays for Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he came up in La Masia like Messi. That's why it's so funny.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
interesting.
And now he's like the best player in Spain right now at 16 years
At
old.
16 years old. So you think he's going to be, are they saying he's going to be better than Messi?
I mean, you can speculate. You never know, but
It's like LeBron when he came in the NBA. Who's going to be better than Jordan?
yeah, I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you can't compare. It's different players, but it's just interesting to me that he's so young. He's doing good, but Messi had him in his arms. You know?
Yeah, that's
a
interesting.
He channeled his.
Channeled his Messi.
I guess I don't know.
Anyway, let's keep it going. I got to introduce the best producer in the world. We didn't get to her yet. She handles all of the camera switching and the content bringing up, and we love her. She is our mother, and she is Miss Angelique Lopez.
The content bringing up.
And who are you?
And I am the navigator of the podcast stream waters that we sail through during this journey that we go on every Tuesday. And I am every single light-skinned guy / white guy with a beard that you've ever seen. I look like him, yes. And probably one of your family
And no,
members
you
too.
Yeah, right. But you're not them. So.
But I'm not them. I just always, everywhere we go, you look like such and such, whatever. But Jamie Evans holding it down over here. But yeah.
Yay. Clap for you.
Hey, you didn't do that.
It feels weird to hit the applause for myself.
So humble.
Yeah, but appreciate everybody in the chat. I see we got Papa Jeff in there, one of our Patreon members, and our family right there. We love you. He's watching. He said, I can hear you. Yeah, we had to get Moan's mic straight. It was messed up a little bit. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, shout out to James couldn't be here tonight. He had a long day in the hot sun. And we're still waiting on our Black Batman, Stan Golden, to come back from his...
I was in that sun too. It was hot.
Yeah.
Boy, it was hot.
It was hot.
But if you guys are watching on any of those platforms, make sure you hit the like button and share the video, please, so we can get the algorithm going in our favor. But yeah, other than that, 4th of July weekend, we had we had a good time. We went to Ocean City with everybody.
That's right.
We had fun.
The beach,
Yeah.
hanging out.
I had no kids.
Jamie destroyed us.
Bro, it wasn't even funny, man.
It wasn't
like,
even fair.
The Frisbee game?
me and John, we were playing Can Jam. We played Can Jam instead of the Frisbee.
What's Can Jam?
It's another Frisbee,
It's a Frisbee you
backyard
throw
/
in a
beach
can.
game. Yeah.
Oh.
Me and John teamed up, and it was just a slaughterhouse. We play. How many?
Hey, I can say that at least me and Caleb beat you.
Yeah, they got one win.
Win.
Me and John had 11 wins, bro.
Wow.
They
So
got.
John's good at that?
He was playing good. Yeah, he's good at that.
He was.
It's
I was
'cause I
trying.
wasn't
I was
there.
trying to mess him up. You know, trying to poke him a little bit.
Yeah. It was fun.
If I was there, it would have been a whole different story.
It might have been. But for what against Moan and Caleb, and then Moan and Stan, and Moan and Nana, and all of them mixing.
Hold up, Stan wasn't on my team.
They mixed their teams up multiple times, and nobody could.
Yeah.
Not terrible though, bro.
Nana wasn't that bad. He was scoring some points.
Not terrible. I love you, Nana, but you terrible.
Yeah, it was fun though. We had a good time.
It was fun.
And then you hung out with Mom and the family.
Yeah, we just hung out at home and
Barbecue.
barbecued some stuff and ate and talked.
We did some weeding.
We did some weeding. That's
Weeding.
right. Yeah, I did some mulch.
Not weed.
Put
Weeding.
some mulch in.
I didn't think that at all. I didn't think that at all.
Yeah, well, something else was going on last week. It was the aftermath of the debate debacle with Joe Biden. We talked about it on the podcast a little bit, how the media was in full-on panic mode. But the crazy part was watching two narratives going on at the same time, because there was a bunch of people calling for Biden to drop out, and then there was other people that are just saying, like, he's the guy. I don't care who it is. We just can't let Trump in, But it feels like there's something happening. There's a shift. I don't know if like the real deep state behind everything has said, okay, because I feel like even them giving Biden the chance to debate was them setting him up for the slaughter.
Yeah.
Because we know, we've been talking about it for 2-3 years now, how they're lying about his health and covering it up. Like we've been showing example after example about how they're lying and covering it up. And now all of a sudden they just flipped on it. And everyone's allowed to talk. Remember before it was, you're not allowed to, how could you criticize someone who has a stutter? Like they came up with all these excuses. And then after that debate performance, it was just like, okay, now we're allowed to just expose this guy. We're allowed to talk about it. I showed the clip of Jake Tapper, who was at the debate, being honest about what he saw at the debate. There's another clip that was going viral of him talking about the media's response to it. I want to play that real quick because Dave Smith said, yeah, guys, he's not going to be the nominee because he could tell by the way they're talking now. So let's play this real quick. See if we get some audio. Don't do it to me again, X.
In reality, 72% of voters say that they believe President Biden is too old. That's according to CNN's most recent polling. Voters have been saying this for quite a long time. The reality is that the Democratic elites are mostly late to acknowledge these age and ability issues compared to the rest of the public.
Okay, so now it's okay to say that people have been saying this for a long time. It's the Democratic.
You guys haven't been saying it.
Y'all are the
Y'all.
ones.
Yeah,
haven't been
but
saying
think about it. Why is CNN saying that now?
That's my whole point. That's what I said.
Because the deep state and they boss is like, y'all saying this now.
They're setting up for something else. They're setting up for something else.
The elites have been forced to reckon with it after the debate just 11 days ago.
Look at my career. I've not had many of those nights. It was a terrible night, and I really regret it happened. But the fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be on faith that can intervene on your way to go to, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea I'm too old.
Now, keep in mind, that right there was supposed to be him calling into Morning Joe to like reassure everyone that he's good. The excuse they made up was that he was jet lagged from his travels to the G7 summit, which we showed the videos, which happened 2 weeks pretty much before the debate. So he was still jet lagged from that, apparently.
And he had a cold.
He had a cold too. So they were making up all these excuses of why I just had a bad night. This is not like something that's been going on with me forever, which we know is a lie.
But he hasn't done anything like that. He didn't do that in the last election, right? A debate, right?
Yeah, they did a debate.
But
They did a debate.
did they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
But weren't they hiding him for a while?
Oh, he was hiding in the basement. They gave him I think a month of he did no press, no nothing to prepare for a debate last time.
He did a debate last time. It was, you could tell they probably,
Drugged him.
up.
They hopped him up last time.
But this time
They couldn't do it.
it was a lot worse.
And he's progressively gotten worse since he's not even the Biden that ran in 2020, he's not that guy anymore. You could see he's just been year after year getting worse.
Like it's, that happens with that job. It seems like, except for Trump. Trump seems like he's the same. Obama looked like he aged a lot.
But it also happens with someone who is in the state of either dementia or some kind of neurological Alzheimer's or whatever. It happens where you start seeing the early symptoms and then it just progressively gets worse. Yeah. And we started seeing those early. Remember in the primary debates, remember when his eye just busted out bloodshot red and we showed that video on the thing? Remember how he kept mixing up words and, that's where they came up with the stutter thing. Because he kept mixing himself up and telling these crazy stories.
I've never seen the media cover for somebody so much. Yeah, dude. You can look at his career; he's never stuttered ever.
Right
now, all of a sudden, he has a stutter problem
that he overcame. Yeah, but so do you guys think that Do you think that it's gotten so bad that they were like, okay, let's put him out there for the debate, see if he can make it through this. If it goes south, then we just got to abandon ship. Do you think it might be that, or do you think they did it on purpose?
I think they did it on purpose because, you know, they already knew, right?
Right.
This is going to be his fall right here.
Right.
And they
there's a reason why they never let him take any questions. There's a reason why he always says, I can't take questions. I'll get in trouble. And as soon as his press conferences are over, they usher everyone out of the room. They block them from asking questions. Like, there's reasons why they've been doing that. And then all of a sudden, like, even they're talking about making him do a big boy press conference. They're even calling it. I'll show a clip of that. Like, they're saying he's going to have to do a big boy press conference where he has to answer questions from the press. Why would you say that language? They said that to the public.
So now they're admitting that they've been pretty much, you know, making it easy for this dude.
I mean, the fact that this guy, like, let's continue with this rant that he goes on because
you know what?
Yeah.
Let me say this real quick. I think that America as a whole, we've been so conditioned in just like watching the downfalls or watching the train wrecks.
Yeah.
That people care more about like pointing the finger than they actually do about like, you know, looking at it for what it is. Like when it gets there, because I've seen this so much with people who are on the left.
Yeah.
And they're just like, this guy's an idiot. This guy, he needs to be out of here now. Mm-hmm. They didn't say that 5 months ago. Right? 10 months ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
No.
Well, the media.
But that's my point. Like, if we're being conditioned to judge things based off of what we're being given,
yeah,
right? It's like they're being handled, we're being handled. You know, all these kind of reminds me like a reality TV show. Right?
Yeah,
we know that a reality TV show is being pushed by a producer.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not everybody knows that.
Well,
a lot of people don't have that
right.
realization.
But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's being pushed in a direction.
Yeah.
Right? And the people think that they're judging, but no, they're leading you to judge.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening here too. Like they're giving you the narrative. It's just like even on a short term, when you look at like the judgy shows of contestants, you know, America's Got Talent,
yeah, American Idol,
all those singing shows. What do? To draw you in with somebody who can actually sing, they're going to give you a story.
Yeah,
they're going to make you feel bad for them, right? They're going to hype that whole thing up so you can be
invested,
emotionally
connected.
Yeah.
So that you can be invested, right? They're locking you in, right? And they're actually leading you and driving you into the story.
Right.
They're not letting you figure it out for yourself, because if you saw it, you'd be like, yo, this is all manipulation.
Yeah.
You know, it's all manipulation.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But if you've been watching all these reality TV shows, like think about it, like all these shows that you watch, nothing ever good comes out of any of these, what's the housewife reality shows. It's just the ongoing craziness,
chaos,
of what's going to happen next. And they always hype things up, but it never turns out to be anything.
Yeah. They set you up to keep you watching, but it's never what they even like. Even like they'll manipulate you with like coming up.
Yeah.
And it looks like something crazy is about to happen.
And it never
and
does.
It's never what it seemed like. Yeah.
Never does, you know.
But people keep watching it. You know how many times I've explained to people about those type of shows, Love and Hip Hop, Housewives, that scene where like someone walks in on someone and they get into an argument because they catch them doing something, and I have to explain to them like, yo, this is all staged. Like, there's no way, if you know anything about filming, if you know about audio, how would that person come in with a mic already attached to them unless they were told to be there by the producers? Like, this is all set up. And they're tricking you into thinking that this authentically happened. It's reality TV, but it's really just a staged event.
Yeah.
You know?
And what they're doing is they're literally leading you into how to judge.
Yeah.
And if it's bad judgment, they're leading you into judging very badly, but it's for their benefit. Because now you're a really, really, really bad judge.
Yeah.
Right? And now, what are you going to do? You're going to jump to conclusions.
Right.
And you're going to misjudge things. If you're a bad judge, then you have no business really handling anything. So then they're going to be able to, you're easily manipulated, right? You're going to go with stuff. And you don't realize it. You're like, oh, it's just a show.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
just
wrong
like
with
it.
this? There's
I
nothing
just
wrong
like
with
it.
watching these things.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with no.
It's
You're
just
like
watching
it's
mess.
just entertainment.
it's just entertainment, but you're
Yeah.
being
I
manipulated.
never watched any of those nasty shows.
Yeah, but you.
So what are
watch-
you saying?
You
Are
watch
you-
the singing shows.
Are you
Not
saying
anymore.
they're
I used to.
Did though?
you saying
I
the
did,
media
but
did
not
that
the-
to the American people? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that a lot of the American people have already been prepped
Yeah.
to receive this message, right? So, however it goes, they can spin it,
Yeah.
and it's not going to take much work for people to be like, "That makes sense."
Right. Okay. I can settle
Yeah.
on that. I can
Yeah.
settle on
Right? That makes sense. They're giving like the news now is just leading. It's not. It's in any way. It's and this is obvious.
It's not informing.
It's not informing. It's leading.
Yeah.
It's not objective in any
Yeah.
way. It's subjective.
Yeah.
Right. They're leading you and to submit to an idea in a way, and then you're easy to receive it.
Let's keep playing this clip just because he goes into a little bit more criticism.
The fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be out on, on your way to go, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea that I'm too old. Keep in mind, that soundbite is supposed to be reassuring to those Democratic supporters who have gone wobbly. Many Democratic officials with whom I've spoken are worried that President Biden and his family and his inner circle appear to be in complete denial, not just about whatever might be wrong with him, but the state of his candidacy right now.
Like, have you ever heard CNN talk like
That's
this?
what I'm just saying.
Nope.
That is so set up.
Then he went on to show clips, stuff that we've shown in the past on the podcast,
Yeah.
Show
and say and as examples of how this has been a problem.
But they were never talking.
They
about
wouldn't
it.
talk about it, but they're
so
claiming
they're showing cheap fakes.
they're claiming that the White House was covering it up, and they have nothing to do with it. We're totally innocent on this.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that dynamic shifting. Even the late night shows. Now, come on, you know how the late night shows will cover up for Biden, right? Here's Kimmel making fun of the debate.
Hello. Hey, yo, I just caught your interview on Morning Joe, or as I like to call it, Morning You. You get it?
Who is this?
Come on. It's Barack
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Obama.
Oh, I know. It was just a test to see if you knew who you were.
Oh, Joe, you're making about as much sense as you did during the debate.
Thank you.
And I don't want to play the whole thing because we'll get copyrighted. But it just goes on to make Biden look dumb and old, and
When did they ever do that? Please.
they for the last 3 years have been silent on this stuff.
Yeah. It's almost like it's all there, and then they're like, "Oh, I can do this now."
It's
okay.
they got the
I
okay.
can- yeah,
they got the
I
okay
can-
from the elites.
yeah.
Like, okay, we're done with him. It's okay. Bash him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's disingenuous.
Yeah.
Why would you gotta see? Why would you listen to that now?
Right.
Why would you listen to these people now when the whole time they've been acting like there was nothing there?
Yep.
Now all of a sudden there's something there?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
I have to say though, real life though, from the beginning, the never Trumpers or whatever like
Yeah.
that, and they're for Joe. I saw because I have a lot of those in my life, and then I see, them coming to realization, slowly.
Yeah.
Like maybe they, they start questioning, and then they're like, all right, he's old. He's an old man. First they make excuses, and then I don't know if he
Right.
can run the country.
Right.
Yeah, but that's also because people have pushed back. They're not going to come to that if it's not for you or for other people saying, "Really, dude?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're having these interactions, even if they're light.
And that's because they're seeing clips like this now. They're seeing their trusted sources shift their narrative now. So now they feel like, okay, maybe I need to, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I need to change my opinion.
This dude was never able to get through a press conference without messing up.
He couldn't talk.
And that's why, like, for me, when I see a bunch of people now making fun of it, it's so messed up because you didn't see none of this before, or you acted like you didn't see it.
You covered it
so
up.
Either way, even the people who didn't see it, you know, and now they're jumping on the bandwagon. Whatever, I'm holding you responsible.
Yeah.
In terms of how didn't you see this?
Right.
You need to pay attention.
Right.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You
You
know?
were wrong. You missed it.
And now you want to act like you can make fun of it and it's funny. Oh, and no, that's stupid.
Right.
No, it is messed up. Like I've always kind of laughed at him, but then sometimes I will feel bad because he's old.
Yeah.
I mean, he put
Especially
himself in that position.
He did.
And
he did.
the
But
reason
now,
why we would highlight it is because it's you've got to show people how blinded they are by ideology and party line, like just loyalty, where it's like tribalism, like where I will vote in this guy just because he's not the guy that they're telling me is bad.
And there's still people like that.
There's still
I know
people.
a bunch of them.
Yeah.
They just don't care. Oh no, but not Trump. So we just still want Biden. He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Come on.
it's
wake
elderly abuse now. It really
Yeah.
is.
I mean, did you guys see the clip of him calling that radio show and calling himself a black woman? Did you see that clip?
Who, Biden?
Yeah.
No, I
What do
did
you
not.
mean?
He was
Oh my goodies.
He said he was the first.
Yeah.
He said he was the first.
Come on.
The first black woman.
Come on.
Yeah, but he did. But anyway, so that woman was then on. They brought her on the news to ask her about that interview, and she basically blew the whistle and admitted that those were all pre-written questions sent by the White House to set him up to have a great interview after the debate went so bad. Let me play that real quick for y'all.
You asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either of you. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview. So
hold
the
on,
president...
let's stop that.
Come
you
on.
know what happens. You know that's what they do.
This is what they always. So this is why
Come
it's
on,
like,
man.
why are you bringing light to this now?
Yeah. But the thing is, they're actually just exposing themselves.
Yes,
if
they
you're
are.
paying attention.
Yes,
You
exactly.
gotta pay attention.
That's
They
why
already
I'm
know.
showing this.
Yeah.
To show that they're telling on themselves.
Yeah. And she kind of got a little annoyed by that.
Yeah.
Right? But he's trying to say, well, I'm saying this because no, but dude, you're exposing her and you're exposing yourself.
The funny thing is, even the way he framed it was, did you submit the questions or did they send them to you? So clearly you know that there's never off the cuff questions to Biden. Like
Right.
both of those scenarios are not off the cuff questions.
Right.
So it just turned out that no, it was even worse. They gave you the questions to ask him, which he was being prepped
Right.
on ahead of time.
Which is why you never see him do stuff with in places he would never do stuff.
Yep.
Because they got to set it all up beforehand.
Yep.
Which is what a lot of the politicians do.
Yeah. And then he went on with George Stephanopoulos. I don't know if you guys saw that to be that was another interview. He was supposed to make himself look better. But that went terribly wrong too. Hold on, I'm trying to find this clip of him saying he's a black woman, so y'all can hear it.
But whoever said that they're exposing themselves, they sure are.
Oh, is this real? I just saw this article. Look at this. Radio host resigns after admitting Biden aides gave her questions for interview.
Oh.
And that's her, right?
That's the same lady.
Yeah. That's why she was so mad. She knew, like, hold up. You saw it in her face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you can't, how can you even trust somebody like that?
Yeah.
Now? You can't. But the thing is, this is what everybody's doing.
This is what they do.
And that's what they'll say. Well, everybody's doing it.
Yep.
You know? That's how they feel okay about doing it.
Right. Yeah.
There's no integrity.
Let me see if I can find this clip though, because this is maybe they'll have it under that.
Why did she resign?
She probably got in trouble for telling the truth.
Oh my God, this is so much exposure. To be honest.
Yep.
So Biden's a black woman now. He is more black than he probably act more black than Kamala.
That's why he said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Let me see.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
That is just.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
I'm sorry, that is so sad. Oh.
You know what he means, but it just came out.
He said, "I'm proud to be the first vice president, the first black woman to serve with a black president." That's what he said.
That's what he
said.
said.
How can you say you know? What did he mean? What did he mean?
He thinks he's Kamala.
No.
What did he mean?
I don't know.
The first vice president.
That he had
the
first vice president that is a black woman.
I think
that's what he meant.
He said, "I'm proud to be the first vice president
to serve."
I know what he said.
Under a black president and the first president to serve.
But those two thoughts got combined.
A vice president,
yes.
a woman, a black woman.
Right. The fact that we have to do all that deciphering for the leader of the free world, the guy who's supposed to be running this country, is the problem.
Yeah, he ain't running nothing.
But I'm just saying, like, it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
We're an embarrassment.
Yeah. We had, and then today the New York Times comes out with this article. Look at this.
New York Times?
Yes, New York Times, right? They dropped this bombshell. Parkinson's expert visited the White House 8 times in 8 months. So they're saying the White House said President Biden had met with a neurologist only 3 times in more than 3 years in office, and implied that his doctor's visits were related to treating other people. But an expert on Parkinson's disease from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center visited the White House 8 times in 8 months from last summer through this spring, including at least once for a meeting with President Biden's physician, according to the official visitors' logs. So there's been a doctor, and they say expert in Parkinson's. They're trying to frame it like he has Parkinson's.
Exactly.
That's just a neurologist. Mm-hmm. So there's been a neurologist meeting with him more frequently than normal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But the New York Times dropped that article today. So now the Parkinson's narrative is starting to take off.
Yeah, which he doesn't have Parkinson's. Parkinson's, you're shaking, he just has a dementia.
Right.
And not trying to make excuses. That's
right.
what they're doing. And
then MSNBC brought on this guy who is a Parkinson's expert.
You noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Oh, yeah. I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemino dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordotically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of end block turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold, hypophonia. a small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism.
Bringing up the Parkinson's symptoms. Bro, you would think this is a Fox News segment right here. You would think this is a Fox News segment or Newsmax or something. This, and not MSNBC, I'm sorry, it was NBC News, bro. Bringing in an expert to diagnose him with Parkinson's and breaking all that down as the new narrative. And then later on in the day, of course, because of that article, they watch how the media has turned on Karine Jean-Pierre. Because you remember how they used to just let her say whatever and not question her. The only one who would question is Peter Ducey.
We provide to all
Her best friend.
That's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
Eight times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
Not what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So
she's not used to this.
every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question.
Which I'm saying 3 times, but it could be more than 3 times, but I'm telling you 3 because that's
I'm
not a lie.
I'm not really lying.
It's not technically a lie.
He's seen him 3 times.
Yeah.
No, it is. It is. You're asking me.
Kennard, come to the White House.
But I also said to you, Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names. We have to.
Others he would have met with.
We
but
cannot.
You can share names in regards to if someone came here in regards to the president.
Share.
Have you ever seen them fight her like this?
No.
Bro, it is such a shift. Everything is shifting now. It's like they got the call. Biden's done.
They got the green light.
This is the big boy comment I was talking about where they said in front of the press corps, watch.
After that, the president will hold a press conference. I guess a big boy press conference is what we're calling it, and take some questions from y'all.
This week, President Biden will speak to national labor leaders of AFL-CIO, host the NATO summit to show the unprecedented strength of our alliance, hold a press conference, a big boy press conference, according to Justin Singh from Bloomberg.
Bro, they're calling it a big boy press conference because he's going to take questions.
They're making themselves look silly. They're making this.
But they're purposely putting that language. None of this is not on purpose. They're putting that language in there so people will run with it.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching this narrative shift, and
it's not. Well, it is sad, but
the state
but it's. Also, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And which is sad.
So is all that called cheap fakes?
No, but I don't want people to be fooled again.
Yeah.
Because now they're just going to use all of this to get people to be okay with swapping Biden out for somebody else. And
Obama.
Whoever. Michelle Obama, whoever. I mean, and then you got people like Joy Reid pretty much saying that very thing. Like, look at what this encapsulates what I'm talking about.
The Democrats are ready to jump ship. Okay, do it. Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House.
Oh, please, sir. Please tell me who I'm supposed to vote for, because I just don't know how to vote. So y'all go ahead and tell me who I'm supposed to vote for, so then I can know what I'm supposed to do. She's supposed to be a journalist. This is pathetic.
Yep. But that's what she's sitting out there talking about. Just tell me who it's going to be so I can keep Hitler out the White House.
Yeah.
How is he Hitler?
And this is the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they already judged him.
Yep.
He's already judged. This is what they did. This is what they do. I heard Pharrell talking about the whole thing with Trump and women, and dude, it was so sickening.
Really?
Like, oh my gosh. I wish I forgot. I wanted to clip that for you, but I forgot. But
Pharrell,
it's just
really?
Pharrell. Yeah, but it's just like
the guy that had,
because he's Pharrell.
Yeah.
He thinks he can talk. And he even says in it, like, I mean, people might question me about some of my lyrics and some of the songs I had.
Yeah, that's
but
what I was just about to mention.
But most of the stuff I did, I have 78-year-old women coming up to me saying how much they love it. That's the
Trump
way he
has
justified.
78-year-old women coming up to him saying he loves them too. Like, come on,
exactly.
bro. Like, we could talk about blurred lines alone.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy.
Right.
It's crazy. And he's like, well, my stuff is about fun. Okay. Subjective.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're talking about. And people will just eat it up.
Right.
And they won't see it because they love him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my point about all this.
Yeah.
Is that you guys, a lot of you guys are being duped because you're too familiar with stuff and you care about it for the wrong reasons. You can't see it with objective eyes.
Yeah.
You're looking at it with very subjective eyes to the things that you grew up with, to the things you're familiar with,
the things your family was told you to do, and part of your, your heritage, and
all that stuff,
and being connected to the emotionality of who's racist and who's not. And I always tell people, like, Trump really got on black people's bad side because he criticized Obama, who was already set up as this god to black people. So once he did that, because black people loved Trump before that, but once he came out and criticized Obama, he was the enemy. He was the enemy, and he's never been able to recover from that. They already thought he was a racist, but then as soon as the media jumped on the narrative and kept calling him racist, it was easy for black people to be like, yep, we knew it, because he criticized their god. Let me show you this clip from The View of Whoopi Goldberg basically saying, I don't care if Biden poops in his pants, I'm voting for him.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit then, say, you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it, and gave 4 years. So, yeah, I have poopy days all the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine. Now, I'm not running the world, but I don't know anybody who doesn't step in stuff at some point. So I'm just simply saying, there are 2 debates. And if he can't do what he needs to do for the second debate, I'll join any crew that says get rid of him. But loyalty to me, if you are doing the job, I might not like everything you're doing. I don't like it all. But I'm going to stand behind you like those guys stand behind the guy who should have been the person people were talking about, saying, yeah, Biden had a bad day, but this guy couldn't tell the truth if it split his lip.
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm worried and I'm pissed. Frankly, I'm livid. Because for the last 8 days, it feels to me, I have seen nothing but breathless reporting. It almost feels like media malpractice of them trying to score the winning goal against Biden. Who can...
Wow, you saw people criticize Biden for the first time and you can't handle it.
have the gotcha moment.
But yes, she's always criticizing Trump.
Always.
Splicing, dicing, cubing everything he says, putting on a microscopic slide, and then looking at it under all sorts of...
It's not a microscope. The dude
can't form sentences.
Couldn't talk. The dude couldn't form sentences. It's not microscopic.
I don't know, every time you play this show, it just...
Yeah. Well, let me take it on. Anyway, I just wanted to show that because, again, like, these are people that are just going to vote.
But here's the thing, like shows like this, what are they teaching you? If you're watching this show every day, and there's people who do.
There's people that do religiously.
What are they teaching you? They're teaching you how to judge emotionally, right? It reminds me of 1 Corinthians 13. Love is not irritable, right? So what does that mean? I think irritable or resentful. and it goes back to being emotionally provoked.
Okay.
Right? It means it's not quick to be angry.
Right.
Right? Love is patient. Love is kind. We know that, right? Love is patient. Love is kind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look for its own. So a lot of times what she's talking about, right? I put my foot in my mouth. That's what she was saying a lot.
Yeah.
It's because you speak emotionally and then
Yep.
you say a lot of dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You say stuff without love. Right? There's
Right.
another scripture, speak the truth in love. Right? So we should be speaking the truth, but we should be doing it in patience with people.
Right.
Right? In kindness, not in harshness. But sometimes you have to be a little harsh because somebody is straight up There's straight up hypocrisy, right? And it's because of the way you're lashing out. Like, think about how Jesus spoke to the Pharisees.
Right.
You know, and the disciples were like, yo, you offended them. And he's like, I don't care. Basically.
Yeah.
You know. Why? Because they are leaders.
Mhm.
People are looking to them.
Yeah.
But they're hypocrites. That's what he called them.
Right.
Right? People are looking to them. You don't need to look to them.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you anything of merit, anything good.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that everything they say is bad, but I'm saying that they are on that pedestal. They're on TV because they can manipulate you. They wouldn't have those platforms if they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
On those stations. They might have some other, like you have somebody like Candace Owens, who we're going to get into later.
Mm-hmm.
But look at how did she come about? She came about through the internet.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of these people now, in this day and age, are coming up through the internet.
Yeah.
And what did they try to do at first? They tried to discredit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They try to discredit all these people. These guys are not real reporters. They're not.
Yeah.
Don't listen to them. Like,
Right.
this is when all the fake news
Mhm.
stuff and all this stuff, and it was a battle
Yeah.
there.
Trusted news sources.
Yeah, but what happened? They lost that battle.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are they're just holding on for dear life.
Right.
They got like some in a generation.
Yeah.
But the new generation coming up, they're not buying it.
No, not at all. Like, all of these people's demographic is dying out.
Yeah.
They don't have any of the key demographic viewers.
Do you think, because you think about like Whoopi, she's from that, a lot of people who would listen to a Whoopi are like boomers.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Or around that.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it comes from that free love,
Mhm.
60s, 70s
Yeah.
era,
Mm-hmm.
where people will listen to somebody like her.
Candace been talking about that era a lot lately, actually.
Yeah.
Like, doing research into how all that got started.
Mm.
She talked about the how the music industry in Hollywood was, the CIA was infiltrated, all of that, to create that hippie movement as a way to destabilize the church and everything in that time frame. It's interesting. I'm watching her like do all that research, the stuff that we talk about on here all the time. She's starting to like discover all those things. It's interesting. Yeah. But speaking of interesting things, there was the BET Awards happened, and of course it was. It's a shame because when you look at the BET, actually D1 posted something and he made a song like talking about the awards. I'm not gonna play it, but I just want to show the visual of some of the stuff going on at the BET Awards. Just so you can see like kind of the vibe. It's very like everything is kind of influenced by stripper culture, degeneracy. It was mostly naked women. They did a tribute to Usher, but every artist that performed was a woman. And they were all like stripping, dancing provocatively. I do gotta show this little clip of Ice Spice because like I saw this and I was like, how is this even popular?
Song after song, deep down we all.
I think it's at the end. Hold on, let me see.
Again, where's your tongue? Can I please get a peek with a drum?
Taking her man. Don't give up. I win the yams. And I'll keep it one tuck.
It sounds like a little girl at a talent show who can't rap, like trying to be. But if you go on stage and you're dressed like a stripper, you can be famous now. Meg Thee Stallion. This was pretty much the BET Awards, right? But yeah, it was a whole night of just mostly that, and it was a lot of women showing their bodies, you know, making black culture look like that's all it's about. And of course there was, I know do you guys know it was hosted by Taraji?
Yes.
And the theme of it,
viral. I seen the viral thing that
she came out doing her version of Kendrick Lamar, rapping Kendrick Lamar, you know what I mean? That was her whole shtick. That was like the theme of the night. They Not Like Us, you know, because that song went viral. That's a huge thing. Kendrick Lamar dropped a video on the 4th of July. But then I showed this last week. I just want to show it again because it's in context what we're talking about. They had to throw the political thing in there. You weren't here, Jake, but did you see this clip?
Yeah, I saw this.
So I just want to show this because...
No, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real, ain't you? You know. So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And
I'm out here in these streets, girl.
I'm on these streets.
It's funny how she plays up the blackness.
What streets are you in?
What? I'm out here in these streets, girl.
let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they not like us.
They not like us. You hear the trigger words. How do we get the blacks? Give them the hooks that they like. Bring up some rap music. But yeah, I just
ain't nobody believing.
That was
believing you.
Super cringy. And then she ended up messing up like right after that. She
Hi.
Watch.
How are you? Mr. Keith Lee, I know what you're thinking right now. This is about
She confused him with Keith Lee.
a 10.9 out of a 10.
And he's like, no, that's Keith Lee.
Who is that?
That's that other guy on TikTok who always has his phone in the mirror with the glasses.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that other guy. But and it was a big controversy because she didn't know who Keith Lee was.
Right.
You know what I mean? But she act like she's with the culture, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, got caught.
You totally messed that up and didn't know who Keith Lee was, and he was offended. And then, what was the other thing I was going to show? Oh, and then, after that, she did her little rant about Project 2025.
That will affect us as human beings.
That's the new talking point.
Our careers, our next generations to come. Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless? Pay attention.
Where?
It's
What
not
is
a
she
secret.
talking
Look it
about?
up. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up.
That's one of the new talking points. Project 2025.
Why do people? This is another thing. People always say look it up, and then people won't look it up because they think they said look it up.
Because you said it,
Yeah.
I just believe you.
Yeah, like that dude. Who's the guy, the black guy that talks about aliens and the whole? He acts like he's.
Yeah. What's his name? Griffin.
Yeah. He was on.
He was on Flagrant. He was on Rogan.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
and
he
just
acts like
says
he
things like
knows-
it's matter of fact, and he'd be way totally
Yes.
wrong. He'll quote the Bible completely wrong.
Yeah.
He'll say that this verse says this, and it don't say that.
Right.
Like, yeah.
He says like he talks about the emerald tablets. Of
Yes.
Thoth,
Yeah.
And all that stuff was like proven to be a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That some dude just made up. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's trying to get clout.
Right.
But yeah, all this stuff, and he acts like all these, like he just perverts so much, and then acts like it's the facts, or either he just doesn't know,
Yeah.
and he's been very like, you know.
I think sometimes when people are so eager to bring some type of new knowledge to the world, they'll jump on anything. Like, and they'll accuse other people of doing that.
Right.
Like he'll accuse Christians and people that have followed Jesus of just being zealous for God and being irrational. But it's like, dude, you're just jumping on anything that you find and thinking
but then
that
he
it's
says
truth.
the same thing. Look it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But most people won't, and they'll just assume. Like, this dude was straight lying on PBD.
Right.
You know, like, he just straight
But you
lying.
saw Patrick was kind of pushing back a little bit more than everybody else was.
Yeah, because they don't know.
And
you know.
Flagrant isn't that type of podcast.
Yeah.
They were just kind of like letting them go, you know.
Right.
But she said, look it up. And then the Project 2025 Twitter account posted something and said, these are myths versus facts about Project 2025. First of all, we are not affiliated with the former President Trump. We are a coalition of more than 110 conservative groups advocating policy and personnel recommendations. One, the myth that they want to end no-fault divorce. That is false. Divorce is not mentioned in our policy handbook mandate for leadership. A complete ban on abortions without expectation. That's false. Mandate for leadership calls for a government to comply with laws that prevent federal funding of abortion. So like all of these things that they're trying to claim, ban contraceptives, false.
Yeah. And I'm not even a fan of American Heritage.
Right.
Like, but you're still lying.
You're still lying.
Yeah.
About what they're trying to do. And like the funny thing is a lot of stuff that people are lying about them wanting to do, people are like, yeah, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like no fault divorce, ending that, like, and contraceptive, all these things, abortion, like.
Didn't she say her quote was they're coming after our most vulnerable?
Yes.
Who are most vulnerable?
Babies.
Yeah.
You've been coming after them since 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious, bro. But she wants. You see how emotional she was getting though in that rant with her big fake wig on. So then this dude, I sent this to y'all too. This dude made a video about it.
About Project 2025. Have you heard of Agenda 47? Say what? Agenda 47. Nah. It's the actual platform that Trump is going to push when he becomes president. It's listed on his official campaign website. Project 2025 is not to be found there. Matter of fact, Project 2025 was created by a conservative think tank named the Heritage Foundation. It's supposed to make it illegal to be homeless. Has nothing to do with Trump. Trump has neither endorsed nor supported this platform. He don't even like he has his own. But I saw on BET. I don't care what any Hollywood elite or BET Awards show hosted by Taraji P. Henson have told you about Project 2025. It is not a talking point of President Trump's campaign, nor is it something that he's interested in. It's just another tool to fearmonger you and to just continue to vote for the same people over and over again and never breaking the cycle of chaos that we see within the black community. Once again, just look at the decades long of Democrat control over black cities. Uncle Tom. It makes sense, man. But listen, do you? Be mad at what you want to be mad at, but you ain't mad at Trump. Man, shut up, coon.
That's exactly what they go to.
That's what they do.
And then I gotta show this because you know Kamala. She was saying, you know, remember she was saying they not like us, girl. I'm out here in these streets. I'm just a black girl, just like one of y'all.
So hold up though, like when you talking about you out in these streets, that's like glorifying what black culture shouldn't be.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a meme now for black women that are hoes. She belonged to the streets.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You never hear that?
I'm out.
You never hear that? People saying that she belongs to the streets?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
That's a meme now. But people were posting, look at this picture of Kamala growing up. Such a strong black family.
She's embracing the, the black culture right there.
Uh-huh. And then this other clip, people were And this person tweeted, fact check, Kamala Harris is not black. She's Indian. This was
the Democratic Party
2016.
for a very long time, not just this election cycle, has been doing a lot of active outreach around the South Asians, around the API in general, and will continue to do it. I mean, what we know in particular when you're talking about the South Asian community, we're talking about the Indian community more specifically, it is a growing community in the United States in terms of its voting bloc, in terms of its participation, and I think the party knows that and knows that this is part of our collective community, and there needs to be outreach and inclusion.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
You could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
So
she's whatever you
she's
want
whatever
her to
you
be.
need her to be.
Yeah.
She's whatever's going to get her elected.
Yeah. And yeah, why are you like, this is what I'm talking about. Why are we not seeing this from the beginning?
Black women will go to bat for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I kept playing that View clip, she goes on to talk about how she's so smart, and I'm tired of the way they try to paint her as a blah blah blah. And so I was gonna keep playing that, but I didn't. And then instead, I have this clip to follow that up with of her. Yo, this is so funny, bro. Because we've shown this clip, but I didn't know how many times she said this.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be
They got them
unburdened
music.
by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What does she
What
mean by
can
that?
be unburdened by what has been. What
Bill.
can be unburdened by what has
The
been.
masked
What
version.
can be unburdened by what has been.
Who we can be, unburdened by who we have been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Where we can be, unburdened by where we have been, and unburdened by where we are right now.
What?
Yeah, and it just goes on for another 4 minutes.
Dang.
Little words.
Can be.
Like, that's
I wonder if anybody has actually stopped her and like, what do you mean by
what
that?
do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, what are we burdened? What is
What is that?
unburdened?
I would have put that on a t-shirt. What can be.
Unburdened by what has been. It's just like empty words. It's like a Coldplay song, right? It's like just empty words that sound deep but aren't. Yeah. But yeah, that's Kamala, who they're trying to say might be the replacement for Joe.
No way. They're not that dumb.
I mean, I don't know. Who else would they use?
I think she thinks she is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think she's
Definitely
hoping.
she does, but
yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
So-
It's got to be Gavin.
Before we get onto those videos, I gotta show you guys, because it was trending today, the new narrative that they're trying to push for Trump right now, and it's gonna blow your mind. It was trending today. So this is Ted Lieu. You guys love him, Ted Lieu.
Oh, this guy.
So like Chairman Aguilar said, we hear a lot from our constituents on different issues, but something I've heard that doesn't seem to be being covered are the Epstein files. These files were released, and like Donald Trump's sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein, with young girls on board. He is on call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting. But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it
You're
shows
bringing
that
it
Donald
up.
Trump is in
Look it up.
office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court
Listen to
for
this.
sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies. Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
So now they're trying to say that Trump is involved in the Epstein files. And there was two hashtags trending on Twitter. One was Trump and Epstein. The other one was Trump pedophiles. And it was just a whole bunch of fake images, fake stuff, like crazy stuff that people are trying to invent now.
Wow.
Trying to link him with the whole Epstein situation. And I see like these like, look, isn't he a senator? Is Ted Lieu a senator or a congressman or a representative? I don't remember.
I think he's a congressman, right?
Well, they're all Congress, but I don't know if he's a representative, like a state rep or a senator. But yeah, then someone posted this picture of Ted Lieu with Ed Buck. You guys remember Ed Buck?
Refresh my memory.
Ed Buck was a giant Democratic donor who was killing homeless guys and having homosexual sex with them and then murdering them.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? That's him with him right there.
What? Ed Buck approves this message.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're talking about Trump, dude. You're sitting there with Ed Buck with his hand around you.
And you don't think that, like, if they could have pinned this on, Trump,
they would have already.
They would have already.
Those files got leaked from the trial, and they were trying to find Trump in those files, remember? Mm-hmm. And they were all upset because he wasn't listed. Liz Crokin made a tweet about it, actually. She's someone who's always tweeting about pedophilic activity on Twitter and stuff like that. She's like an advocate for trying to end sex trafficking. And she said the truth about President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. 1, in Bradley Edwards' book, Relentless Pursuit, who represented Jeffrey Epstein's victims, he wrote Donald Trump was not around when minors were present, nor did he engage in improper sexual activity. 2, Edwards wrote, Trump was one of the only people who didn't resist talking about Epstein and provided helpful, often corroborative information for his case. I mean, I've heard this from FBI agents that were involved in the case. They said Trump was the only one that was cooperating. Yep. It said Trump 3, Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. That's a fact. 4, Trump warned people. Trump has warned people about Jeffrey Epstein for many years. He has. I've heard him. They showed interviews of him talking about it. It was Trump's DOJ that took down Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Backpage. Trump did more than any president to combat child sex trafficking, which is a fact. We would talk about all of the stuff he was doing to come against that.
So Lou he's the 33rd district representative.
Okay. For which state? California?
Yeah, Malibu, Santa Monica.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Beverly Hills, Calabasas, all that area.
Yeah. And look at this clip
Bill Clinton.
Look at this clip of Trump talking at CPAC, and I think this was like back in 2016 or something.
Nice guy.
He's talking about Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know
You're friendly. You know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play at my clubs.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look,
So this is before. This is before they all ran for president. He was talking about stuff that we didn't even know about. He used to brought up Prince Andrew. You know what I mean? So
and this stuff is out there,
and why would he talk about that if he's
implicated? Yep.
You
or if he was involved. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting to see them trying to do anything.
And that's the thing, like, the reason why we bring this stuff up, because people think, oh, you guys love Trump. It's not about that.
Yeah.
Why are they coming up with anything they can to take him down?
Yep.
This is what we're saying.
You gotta ask that question.
You gotta pay attention to
They
this
never do this to politicians to this level.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be a reason he's not a part of the club.
Yep.
Like,
They
obviously.
come at him hard.
Yes.
From every which angle.
Yeah.
And Ted Lieu, come on, man.
That's the same guy that
guy that tried to frame Candace with the Hitler
as a
thing.
Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to play one little clip.
Yep.
But that's how you know he's disingenuous.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care about facts or actually what happened. He's just trying to get you.
Yep.
Slime ball.
Speaking of Candace, let's get into from her show. Candace has a new show. She's left the Daily Wire. clearly because of that whole thing. And they never got to do their debate. There was a lot of shenanigans going on there, but she's back and she's stronger than ever. She's got her own show.
Been scared.
And she's about to hit 2 million subscribers already.
Wow.
But yeah, she's been killing it. Like her episodes, you can tell she feels a lot of freedom. Like she's been talking about stuff. She's been hitting some topics, man. It's good to see. But yeah, this what you wanted to get into here was break this down real quick, Jake. What are we about to watch?
So we've talked about, it's basically talking about the origins of NASA.
Mm-hmm. Something we've talked about on this show,
starting with
years ago,
mostly about Jack Parsons.
Jack Parsons.
Right? We've talked a little bit about Jack Parsons on here.
Yes,
we've talked a little bit about
his occult ties,
Aleister Crowley,
him being roommates with L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah,
and that they go into that.
Yes.
So
you about to get Papa Jeff mad?
I just want to.
Are you still tuned in, Pops?
I hope so.
Just wanted to show this because
if he gets mad, listen, it's on him.
Let's talk about it.
These are all facts about to come out. Like what she's about to talk about. These are things that we've talked about on here, but these are all facts.
Yeah. Now, what I'm not saying is that there's no space.
Yeah.
And,
right.
And the earth is flat.
Yeah.
And but what we are saying is that everything that they're telling you isn't exactly what it is, because this is how
they control.
They stay in control.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to stay in control, it's all through fear tactics, right? And they're never going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you some of the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
And you wanted to go into Oppenheimer a little bit.
A little bit.
Pop said this will be interesting.
Yeah, a little bit about Oppenheimer, because it's all connected, because these things all kind of happen around the same time.
They all developed around the same time.
Yeah.
And we showed the clips about the nuclear testing and how those videos seem to be fake.
Yeah.
Remember? We showed those videos. And there is a lot of, questions about nuclear weapons in that sense as well, because it's like they were used as a extreme control and fear tactic in the 80s, and especially during the Cold War for people. Like the idea of people having to do those drills where they hide under desks, like all those things put people in a certain sense of fear that made them a lot easier to control during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the space race was during that same time, and we know that there was a lot of weird things that happened during the space race. But this is the origins of even how they set up Jet Propulsion's laboratories and who was the guy behind it, and which is Jack Parsons, and how he was a follower of Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm trending over something that's just not that big of a deal, I know that there's something the establishment wants to hide. It's called a media overreaction. And that always means that there's something that you've accidentally landed upon that they don't really want to be exposed. And this is sort of what happened when on Monday, I did this whole long episode about why I am now rejecting the cult of science. So many things that they lied to us about: vaccines, birth control, people that are being injured, and we just accept everything the experts say. And we're sacrificing our own bodies. It just feels strange. It feels wrong when you look further in the history. They just keep lying and getting away with it. What I said was that science has become a pagan faith. Yes, that's what I actually believe. And I said, if I don't get it from the Bible and I can't observe it with my own eyes, I don't stand it as the truth. Another example of a recent media overreaction, of course, was when Tucker sat down with Joe Rogan and he started talking about World War II and how we shouldn't have dropped nukes on, praying Christians. And they freaked out, like questioning the nuke thing is not allowed. And again, I thought, Tucker must be landing on some truth that they don't want exposed. And lately we are learning that they've lied to us about virtually everything pertaining to World War II. But it is this piece of the Tucker conversation with Joe Rogan that I keep insisting that you guys commit to memory. So take a listen one more time.
There is a whole world that we can't see that acts on people, the supernatural world that's acting on us all the time for good and bad. Every society has thought this before ours. In fact, every society in all recorded history has thought that until, I'll be specific, August 1945, when we dropped the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And all of a sudden, the West is just officially secular. We're God. There is no God but us. And that's the world that we have grown up in, but that's an anomaly. Like, no one else has ever thought that. There's never been a society that thought that. Every other society has assumed.
Interesting, and brings up the atom bomb?
Yes, exactly.
And they've had all kinds of different explanations, and the details differ, but the core idea does not differ, never has differed from caves until now, that we're being acted on by spiritual forces at all times.
To be clear, that is what I believe made the media freak out. They dressed it up in, the morality of World War II and the bomb. But I think it was actually this. I'm starting to see a trend that every time you start talking about the Bible, you start talking about God, you start talking about spiritualism, and recognizing that America and the West is an anomaly. that there are spiritual forces that are working on people at all times, the media panics because the media, in my view, is a bit satanic. I genuinely believe this. And so did one of the people that was watching this trend. I had a random user reach out and say, yeah, the reason they're freaking out is because NASA is satanic. The origins of NASA are satanic. And I went, what are you talking about? And OMG, you guys buckle up. What I'm about to tell you, you're not even gonna believe me, but you can just research this.
And she's just getting into, like, again, Jet Propulsion Labs. She doesn't even get into Operation Paperclip and how they brought all the Nazis here after. If they were so evil, why did we use them to establish our space program? You know what I mean?
Don't even have to go down a dark hole on Reddit. You can just literally open Wikipedia. It is so in our faces, and yet we don't learn about this. And now I understand why they are very upset with me. So you may have heard of a man named Aleister Crowley. If you haven't, I'll provide you with some brief spark notes. Aleister Crowley was an Englishman. He was also a drug abuser. He was a bisexual who is credited with heavily influencing the eventual counterculture revolution of the 60s in America. Free love, free love. Englishman. He was also a drug abuser. He was a bisexual who is credited with heavily influencing the eventual counterculture revolution of the 60s in America. Free love, free love. Yeah, that book Chaos. Things got weird and satanic in the 60s in America. And America is where this Englishman, Aleister Crowley, eventually moved. But what he is most famous for is black magic. He was an occultist who pledged his allegiance to demons. He believed that he could summon demons, okay? The story goes that when he was 13 years old, he read the book of Revelation in the Bible, and he became inspired, not by Jesus Christ, but by the seven-headed beast that is written by the whore of Babylon. So in case you are somebody that's not familiar with the Bible and Revelations, they talk about this seven-headed beast that rules over every tribe and people and tongue and nation, okay? So it's satanic. It's a satanic beast. When Aleister got older, he started a religious cult, a satanic cult known as the Lima. Yeah. Crowley believed that the number of the beast, 666, was significant. He believed that humanity was entering in a new eon and that his religious motto, which was do what thou wilt, would rule it.
How many times have we talked about do what thou wilt on this podcast? Because that ideology shaped the 60s, which is we're still seeing. The BET Awards we just showed is affected from that.
Yep.
Do what thou wilt.
Yep. Literally everybody's wearing... Why are women wearing sexual outfits? Because just like the whore of Babylon, you're doing it to get the desires and pleasures that you want to get, right? So you're enticing and seducing to manipulate people. Right. And then people do that in different ways. Right. So, women do that in different ways, men do that in different ways. And when you just to understand the Lima, the religion that he kind of created, that is a Greek word. It's in the Bible. It means will. Mm-hmm. It means will or desire. Mm-hmm. So do as thou wilt, the Lima, same thing. Do as thou wilt is the whole of the law. Love under will. Mm-hmm. So love under will, it's backwards. Yeah. So God wants us to he loves us, and because he loved us, our desires become his desires. Right. We set our will under his will. Yeah. Because we recognize that his power through his love set us free, right? So we submit. That's the whole point. We submit ourselves to his love. Yeah. That we might have his will, right? Mm-hmm. And that's no longer you're a whore. Now you are a bride, a submitted bride, and you become one with your husband, Christ, in terms of who he is. You become like him. Yeah. So it's a total opposite. And something I want to say about satanic, because she says it a lot, right? And I think satanic, people get like kind of wooey about satanic, right? But if you look at the words, satanic comes from the word Satan in the Bible, in the Hebrew, Old Testament, that's the word Satan or Hasatan, the Satan. Mm-hmm. It's in the book of Job. It's in a few places, but really what it means is just the adversary, right? The one who is adverse to the things of God. Mm-hmm. So it's always trying to wedge itself in between you and God so that you don't know who you are. Right? That's what the adversary does. So it's always adverse to God in terms of who we are. Right. Because if we know who we are truly, we'll then take on the identity that we were meant to take on from the beginning. Right. And that is, if we do that, we dethrone the adversary. Right. We show who the adversary really is.
Right.
So even demystifying satanic is a thing that I think we need to do, because people hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, you know. But really, when you look at things, why is it satanic? Because it's forsaking God. It's turning away from God. And you see, this is what Aleister Crowley is doing.
Yeah.
The practices are that.
Yeah.
When you say rituals, satanic rituals, they're practices that you do every day to separate you more and more from God.
Yeah. And his rituals, you know, just for those who never heard of this guy, they went really dark. Like he openly wrote about, you know, sex rituals, even with underage children, especially boys, to attain power. And like you said, like the further you can move yourself away from God, you do gain power and access in the satanic realm.
Right.
And he talked about summoning spirits. He had one that I think was named Lamb that he would summon all the time.
Yep. Yeah. And the spirit realm, like when people say, "Oh, I'm spiritual," well, there's Holy Spirit, and then there's unclean spirits, right? So the spirit realm is there's a realm of the spirit where Christ is, where God is, that is clean. And then you have another realm that is dirty or messy. Right? It's chaos. Right. So and that place is where the demonic realm lives. And but overall the spirit realm is over the earthly realm. It can influence the earthly realm. So we're always being influenced. That's why Jesus said that you're going to serve a master, right? You're going to serve God or you're going to serve mammon. You're going to serve one or the other. So either you make the choice or the choice is going to be made for you.
Right.
Did you watch that podcast with Tucker?
I did, yeah.
He went right into that.
Yeah.
With the aliens and, you know, saying that, you know, all the stuff that they see in the Navy and stuff is all demonic. Spirits.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how they got on that topic. But I wanted to like explain Aleister Crowley in that way, because he was so influential in the 60s, like even in the 90s, like in 2000s with Jay-Z. A lot of these artists look up to this guy as someone
shirt
they pretty much worship him. But in his 60s, it was on another level. And even before that, like what she's talking about with Jack Parsons, this was before all of that. But people really worship this guy. Like he was a big influence.
It's weird. I never even heard of him.
And it was crazy because
I found out after you guys. I never knew who he was.
Yeah, and he
had such an influence on your culture,
right?
Growing up in that time,
they wrote songs about him. He was on the album covers. Wow. They talked about him all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's keep going.
Right. He believed that actually he could create this beast and rule over nations by practicing rituals. He routinely practiced sex rituals. He believed in masochistic and sadistic sex, believed in free love, and he was very much connected to the elite in America. He was just openly publishing articles for Vanity Fair because he was best friends with their editor, and many of the elite in our society were his followers and believers. A Satanist. This is a fact. You can look this up. One such follower was a man named Jack Parsons, another wealthy young man. And here's what you should know about this time period. Before Jack Parsons enters the scene in America, the scientific consensus was that we would never enter space, that was an impossibility. But this rich kid, who also happens to be an occultist and who also would perform sex rituals and blood sacrifice to summon demons, well, no, he expressed the belief that they could fundamentally alter humanity, and he had a vision. He said, no, we can make this work. We can get to space. Check out this article. Again, this is published. You can look this up yourself. Here's the headline: Sex, Rocket Science, and Satanism.
The Telegraph from February 17th, 2017. It's not even an old article.
Meet NASA's real hidden figures. I'm going to read you directly from this article because it's so unbelievable. My jaw was on the floor. I'm skimming through it because it's way too long. It would make this show forever, but we will link it, and you absolutely must read it. It reads, quote, Jack Parsons is barely acknowledged on NASA's website, and he's the man who made rockets a reality and co-founded the agency's Jet Propulsion Lab, JPL, home to missions which paved the way for the Apollo programs and continue to explore Mars and outer space today. If Parsons' life story was a film script, it would be dubbed preposterous. He invented jet propulsion technology in the face of industry-wide derision that rockets would never exist, but was also a senior figure in the occult and invited L. Ron Hubbard, yes, L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology, into his confidence.
Yeah, they used to live together. Him and L. Ron Hubbard used to live together, and they both used to practice these rituals together. L. Ron Hubbard, who started Scientology.
And riotous sex parties. Parsons tried to sell his government-funded inventions to Israel before winding up dying at the age of 37 in a self-created explosion, leaving a mass of disturbing materials for his friends to discover. Here's the remarkably twisting tale of his life. So he too, like Aleister Crowley, was just interested in the demonic when he was young. He also liked science fiction. His story begins when he's 14 years old. And as a fan of science fiction, he decides to begin experiments that would eventually shape his life with his school friend named Edward Foreman. The pair took to playing with rockets in Parsons' back garden and soon created their own solid-fueled rockets.
Playing with rockets, is that an innuendo for something?
It was here that Jack would begin to link science with Satanism. Parsons later claimed he first summoned the devil at age 13 in a terrifying experience. Jack and Ed would later attend and then drop out of college. In 1936, they met a 22-year-old Frank Molina, who was a grad student who shared their passion for defying gravity. When Parsons and Molina met, their enthusiasm for rocketry and space travel bonded them like a Masonic handshake, one writer says. I'm sure it did. Molina helped by getting their research funded by Caltech, and their experiments were quite dangerous. There were a lot of explosions. And so he and his friends became known as the Suicide Squad. They decided to move their experiments into the desert, and this part is just amazing. I'm going to read you a direct quotation here. Once again, Jack's fascinations with the occult and rocketry collided. In the desert lands outside of Caltech, there is a former river channel called Arroyo Seco. It is flanked on both sides by rock, one of which is called Devil's Gate, thanks to its shape of a horned head. Some locals believed the mouth of Arroyo Seco was a portal to other dimensions. But for Parsons, the area had two uses. He tested rockets there, but years later, he would return to conduct ceremonies and rituals with other occultists in the same spot. By golly, guys, what then happens is that on Halloween of all nights in 1936, they have a scientific breakthrough after they accidentally set fire to the oxygen line of their small rocket motor. And although it didn't launch, Molina and his team were enthused. They said this test was successful. He wrote to his parents, and NASA would later consider that experiment, which happened again on Halloween, to be the first rocket experiment of what would later become the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So there was a method to the Suicide Squad's madness. They had created a fuel that would burn cleanly and be stored without exploding. And the scientific community was skeptical, but the U.S. Army saw potential, and they offered to fund the Trios project in 1939. So great. Satanic little cult meets the United States government. Thereafter, Jack's credibility in the scientific community soared, and so did his interest in the supernatural and the demonic. He was taken to a meeting of OTO, which stands for the Order of Templi Orientis, an occult society in Los Angeles in 1939, and he became fully engrossed. If you're wondering what OTO is, it was a group that was formed by and followed the teachings of Aleister Crowley. Again, the heroin-addicted sexual deviant and occultist who was considered the wickedest man in the world by the press in his native England.
He called himself the wickedest man in the world. He referred to himself as that.
Parsons went from just reading Crowley's writings to becoming the Beast 666's pen pal. Within a few years, Crowley considered Parsons his American protege. Parsons was barely in his mid-20s, and he was not at all concerned with keeping his personal and professional proclivities separate. The article tells us that the California Tech ran stories at the time that reported that he chanted Crowley's hymn before he lit his rockets. They're just chanting satanic, demonic hymns before they lit these rockets, guys. This is not a joke. This is not a test. This is history that is hiding right under your nose. By 1941, he and his wife, Helen, who he had married 5 years earlier, were indicted into what was known as the Agape Lodge, which was a branch of the church which practiced Crowley's religion of Thelemic magic.
So now, think of agape is what? The Greek word for love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're seeing all this stuff. Like, you're taking stuff from the Bible, right? And you're twisting
it. Yeah. Perverting it.
Then they came into money. They founded the Aerojet Engineering Corporation, which became the world's largest manufacturer of rockets and propellants. And within 20 years, it had become a $700 million a year business. Parsons was the vice president. A year later, he co-founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So now these rich, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You've got government contacts, you've got money, you're having sex rituals. Well, he just is going to make the whole demonic sex rituals bigger because obviously it has led to success, summoning demons, believing in Satan. And what he did next was he took out a lease on a mansion in Pasadena's Millionaires Row on Orange Grove Avenue and invited fellow Thelemites to live communally in what was known as the parsonage. This is really kind of the earliest iteration of
sounds like communism.
A hippie commune, if you ask me. And of course, if you've read that book, Chaos, you just are going, OMG, Candace. So what did they do at the parsonage? Well, the parsonage had 10 bedrooms, but its greatest asset for Parsons at least, according to this article, was its additional 3-bedroom coach house, which became an agape lodge. The commune was self-sufficient, maintaining allotments and livestock to eat and use for blood rituals. Those were the tame events. The blood rituals were the tame events that unfolded at the parsonage. The residents of the Orange Grove made frequent complaints to the police about loud music, drug taking, and the naked pregnant women that were dancing through fire in the garden. This is totally normal stuff, guys. It's just, coming up with NASA and jet propulsion, you sometimes got to have a naked pregnant woman dancing in the garden through fire. Parsons would greet people at the door with a live stake wrapped around his shoulders. And when the police would turn up, he would tell them, hey, look, I'm a Caltech scientist. There's no trouble going on here. I'm connected. I'm connected to the government. I've got money. You leave me alone. And I guess they just left him alone. Somehow this is going to get creepier, guys, because in the mid-40s, Jack decided that he wanted to push the barriers of his Satanism a little more, pushing the barriers of Thelemic magic to a new level. He wanted to take the spirit of Babylon, the goddess that they worshipped, and instill it into a human being. In short, he wanted to impregnate a woman that he believed to have certain powers, so that she would give birth to a child that would embody the forces of Babylon. So between January and March of 1946, yep, we're coming now to the end of World War II. So think about what Tucker said. Hubbard, again, that's L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology, assisted Parsons in a series of rituals that they called Babylon working. And on January 18th, a woman named Marjorie Cameron, who had red hair, turned up at the parsonage, and he believed that this is it. This is the Scarlet Woman that he had called forth via his rituals. The moment had arrived. It is done, Parsons told Hubbard. I returned home and found a young woman answering the requirements waiting for me. I thought I had the most morbid imaginations, but it seems I have not. If you're wondering who that redheaded woman was, she was a woman that had been recently discharged from the Navy. She had a free spirit. She happened to have red hair. She was happy to have sex with Parsons because, again, they promoted free love. Hubbard was then promoted to a position of high priesthood mere weeks after being exposed to the Thelemic black magic, and he incanted rite and ritual. Some of it he did completely off of the cuff. What was the result? Well, afterwards, on March 6th, Parsons wrote enthusiastically to Aleister Crowley. He wrote, quote, I can hardly tell you or decide how much I want to write. I am under command of extreme secrecy. I have had the most important, devastating experience of my life. Crowley responded to him, writing, quote, you have me completely puzzled by your remark. I thought I had the most morbid imagination, but it seems I have not. I cannot form the slightest idea what you can possibly mean. Well, what Parsons meant was he had created a moon child. That's what they were trying to create, a moon child as their final experiment, creating a child of Babylon. The ending of the story, by the way...
Isn't that the name of the princess on Neverending Story? Moonchild.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember we never knew that name? Yeah. I had to look it up on the internet. Say my name, Sebastian. And you could never understand what he said.
Right, yeah.
Which we're coming to gets a little bit shady. They say that apparently after all of that, after impregnating this woman, after chanting after the sex rituals, after driving this woman forth, that she agreed to have an abortion. Parsons then came under the investigation of the FBI. They believe that he had been planning to give his rocket plans to the newly founded Israeli government in exchange for admission to the country and the chance of a new life abroad. Then he died rather mysteriously, Jack Parsons, in an explosion. Some claim he was suicided. Some claim that it was an accident. Some claim that he never died and actually he just disappeared. Honestly, we'll never know. We don't need to peddle in conspiracy theory because in this story, truth is stranger than fiction. There you have it, guys. That's the origins of NASA and the program, the jet propulsion program, we're going to make it to space mission. But don't worry. It would be totally crazy for you guys to think that Satan worshipers are still involved in NASA. Obviously, after it got started, they went totally clean. Everything was been above board. Nobody believes in this stuff anymore. And everything's great and everything's normal. And now suddenly, I guess the goals of Aleister Crowley was to create a society that would deceive the entire world. Now suddenly in the West, we don't believe any of this stuff. We look back on that story of a man who dedicated his entire life and an entire religious cult to summoning demons, saying that they had summoned them successfully, that they had experiences with Satan, and they were just being imaginative. Yeah, no. Satan can't possibly be real, right? So yeah, think back to what Tucker is saying, that suddenly after this period, exactly when this was going on, when people were following this religion and believing in Satan, and then suddenly Americans just kind of got on board the atheist train. And we just said, yeah, no, we don't believe in any of that stuff in spiritualism anymore. Instead, what we believe in is science, rationality. And God forbid someone like Candace start talking about the Bible. Oh my God, there she is. She's saying she doesn't just trust the science. Yeah, I'm saying actually a little bit more than that. I think science has become a bit satanic. They're telling you to do things that are utterly satanic, sacrificing your children in the name of science because it's just a clump of cells. It's getting weird out there. And I'm sorry that I notice. And that's all I'll say on that topic.
Sacrifice your children, sacrifice your body, sacrifice your, put birth control in your body, put all these vaccines in your body, pharmaceuticals. Yeah.
Yep. Science, it's funny because science can never really get to the root.
Yeah.
Right? You're back engineering. You're looking at things from how it was created. So how are you going to figure out? I mean, you're looking at creation.
Right.
How are you going to figure out how it was created? You have to delve into the spirit realm, right?
Right.
But what spirit realm are you gonna delve into? And I think that's what we're seeing
Mhm.
that a lot of these quote unquote scientists were doing. They were delving into spirit realms.
Yes.
And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. Like you have Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was into the Vedic text, and a lot of guys at that time, scientists were into these Vedic texts, which
Wow.
is Hindu text, right?
Yeah.
Veda means knowledge, right? And even with him, with Oppenheimer, who was so called the father of the atom bomb,
yeah.
right? He's quoted as he quoted the Vedic text when this stuff happened with the atom bomb. Like he started to realize that maybe we did something bad.
Yeah.
And he quoted, I wrote it down. He quoted the Vedic text saying, "Now I have become death, destroyer of worlds."
Wow, that was from the Vedic text. I've always
That's
heard him like that quote after the bomb was dropped, like him saying that. And
That's from what's it called? It's from the Vedic text, but it's from the Bhagavad Gita.
That's the one.
Gita, yeah.
That's the one. The dude we were just talking about. He quotes from that all the time.
Okay. And so just to have a little like background, like I said, Vedic text comes from the word Veda and it means knowledge, which are the like scriptures of of Hinduism. And Shiva is the god, is the destroyer god. And Shiva is what they have at CERN.
Right.
The statue at
right,
CERN.
right in front of the CERN building.
Yeah, so Shiva is known as the destroyer, right? And I'm saying all this for a reason, right? So think about destroyer. Think about what he said about destruction. Shiva is the destroyer. And in there's a trinity. There's like a Hindu trinity, right, of gods, which is Brahma and Vishnu. In Shivite tradition, Shiva is the supreme lord who creates, protects, and transforms universes. So even think about what Jack Parsons said. He wants to transform things, right? He wants to shape things. And this is what you see a lot. Like people they want to form the world, but in that you get, what do you get? You get exaltation, right? This is what a lot of these people, Oppenheimer, all these people at one time they were praised, but then eventually it turns around on them. Another thing that's interesting around that time was communism. So a lot of and communism kind of goes hand in hand with the demonic and witchcraft, because if you think about it, like atheism is about rejecting God, but it's like the lowest form of rejection of God. So you're rejecting God, but then you're just allowing the demonic to have its way with you. The only thing with other witchcraft is that you're now compliant with the demonic, right? But then think about this. The more isn't it interesting that the more people look for UFOs, they find them? The more people are focusing on UFOs, they have interactions with UFOs. And a lot of times, where are these people going to have these interactions with UFOs? To the desert.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times it's to the desert. And the desert is something that I want to talk about, because where was Jack Parsons doing his rituals at first, and also where was he getting this understanding?
Yeah, in the desert.
In the desert.
That's also where they were doing the nuclear testings too.
I was
right.
thinking that.
So think about, how do you get to the place where you can create these things, you have to go dark. It's intelligence, right?
Right.
It's intelligence, but you have to interact with this intelligence.
Yeah.
These spiritual beings are more intelligent than human beings.
Right.
They know how things work.
I mean, even when you look at the Book of Enoch, it talks about how the Watchers gave knowledge to humans about weapons, about manipulating plant life, about certain knowledge that probably leads to a lot of destruction. You know?
Right.
And I was thinking about this too. Like, there was another technological renaissance during the time of like when John Dee and these other people were very heavily into the occult that had influence in like European elites circles.
Yeah.
And that's when you started seeing like manipulation of governments and languages and like art and culture shift back during that time as well. Like there was the same thing that we saw happen here in the 60s, 50s and 60s and like 40s through the 60s and the 70s even. I feel like that happened back during that time too with like wasn't when was it was like John Dee, Francis Bacon.
Yeah.
Was Helen Blavatsky during that time?
No,
frame? She was later.
That was 1800s.
Yeah. Who's the guy that found that stone?
Oh, he's Russian.
Yeah.
That was during the 1800s. Too.
Okay.
I forget his name
yeah, that
at
was
the time.
there was different periods where like the occult influenced government in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, so if you bring it back to the Bible, if you look at Babel, right?
Yeah.
Where God confused the languages, right? Babylon.
Right.
And what are they talking about a lot? The whore of Babylon.
Yes.
Babylon. Worshiping this guy Babylon, right? What does Babylon mean?
Babel.
It means confusion.
Yeah, confusion.
Right?
Yeah.
God, let us go down and confuse the languages, right? Because what are they doing? They're coming together as one to accomplish something, but with the wrong intention. Right? They're coming together with the wrong intention.
Right.
And they're going to actually create chaos rather than come to unity.
Right.
So let's go back to the very beginning. God created the earth, right? In the beginning, God created the earth. What did he say after everything he created?
It was good. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Right? He created everything. So that means it was good. It was perfect. Right? And when I say perfect, I mean there was no flaw.
Yeah.
Right? How did flaw come in? Because sin came into man.
Right.
The moment man sinned and lowered itself, did not obey, things shifted. Where was man? Man was in Eden. Man had no need of anything. Man lived forever. Man did not want for anything.
Right. And that was the garden, the opposite of the desert.
Right.
Right.
So, but what happened? The serpent came in and planted a word,
right,
a seed,
right,
that then separated man from God in their perception, right? So the woman sees the tree now because he's like, if you eat that tree, because that was the only thing God said, don't eat of that tree, right? And he's like, if you eat of that tree, you're not going to die,
right?
Because God said you're going to surely die. He's like, you're not going to die. You're not going to die right away. You know, you're going to be like God, knowing good from evil, right? But to see, what were we talking about earlier? Judging, right? But we're going to judge wrongly. What's the problem in the Bible, in the Old Testament, over and over and over again? It's misunderstanding God's intent, and therefore you judge wrongly, right? So that's the issue throughout the whole. That's the problem with man, because we don't understand. There's a difference between knowing good and evil and understanding good and evil, right? So because we don't understand it, that's where we can be manipulated. So like you said, what did you say? It was the anti-Eden?
Yeah.
Right? So what happened to us is now we were living in Eden. Eden means delight or pleasure, right? So what is pleasing to God? Faith.
Yeah.
So the only thing, so if we trust God, then we will live in his pleasure. That's Eden. See what I mean?
Right.
When we trust God, we live in his pleasure.
Right.
So we don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
We just have to trust that he knows everything and that he's going to raise us up in what he knows. That was the point from the beginning.
Right.
So
when you're seeking out all of these other ways of knowledge, all of these other avenues, that's anti-Eden.
It's, well, yeah, that's what the problem is.
Right.
So when Israel was saved and delivered from Egypt, they went, where'd they go?
To the desert.
They went to the desert.
Yeah.
And when they went in the desert, there was this thing where they were dealing with these gods called the Shadim, right? And this Shadim, these gods are mentioned a few times. Deuteronomy 32:17 and Psalms 106. And it talks about, even they say that you gave your sons and daughters up to the Shadim, to the demonic, right? And basically now what we do, right? For what? Pleasure. We're giving up our kids. We're sacrificing our kids for our own pleasure, for our own desire, right? So where is the devil going to hit us at? Our own desires, our own pleasures. Because what did the woman see? She saw the fruit and it was desirable for her own pleasure, right? To eat it. So she took it and ate, right? And so the moment that happened, we came into dryness. You know?
Yeah.
That's the point. Dryness. So this is where these demonic things live. That's why they were going to deserts.
Right.
That's why you see L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons, all these guys that are trying to do this demonic stuff. Like, think about it. It's a freaking atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to the desert. Where are you getting these communications? You got to go out into the wilderness or the desert, right? The atonement, talking about the sons of God, right? And the book of Enoch, right? There's a connection there with the atonement they did every year, which is the Day of Atonement, right? Which is, I think, the sixth feast. And they sacrificed a goat. And then they took the sins of the goat they were going to sacrifice and they put it, the sins of the people, and they put it on this goat and they set it, the scapegoat.
Yeah.
What was the scapegoat called?
I don't remember.
It's the
Azazel.
Azazel.
Yeah,
there
that's
you go.
right. Which was the same angel from the
Which
book of
was the angel that they prescribed sin from,
right?
Because he was the one that taught them the major sin, which was warfare, and how to craft things,
weapons,
and also how to manipulate plants. Yeah. So, and where did they send this goat? They send us into the wilderness,
the desert,
Where and so then that all leaves. It goes back to where it came from. See, the wilderness,
right?
So Shadim has to do with destruction. The root for Shadim, or where these demons get their name, it comes from the root Shaddai, which has to do with ruin, devastation, spoil. It also has to do with robbery or waste.
Okay.
Right? So think about spoil. Like when you steal and if you're going, let's go attack that, back in the day, let's go and attack that horse and carriage, right? You're not going to just be able to get away most of the time scot-free. You're going to have to do some damage. So a lot of times they would destroy everything, right? And take all the spoil. Right? So you're not going to just be able to take people's stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do damage. And that's the connection to the robbery, right? So then you think about like when Jesus talks about how that all that came before him were thieves and robbers. Well, why is he calling them thieves and robbers? All the shepherds that came before him, they were thieves and robbers. Why? Because they were devoting things to destruction because they they misunderstood the meaning of God's word. Desert is, the root is debar, which means word, right? But that there's a mem put on it, and the mem represents chaos. So it represents the word in chaos, right?
Yeah.
Ain't that interesting?
Yeah.
So then, but God is the word, and word also means pasture.
Right.
So when you go back to John 10, it says that there were robbers, but then he says he's the gate, and anybody who comes through me, I'm going to lead them to green pastures. Well, debar also means pastures.
Wow.
So we're learning how to seek God and actually come to life, not destruction.
Right.
Because he says the robbers or the thieves come to kill, steal, and destroy.
Right.
So what's been happening are those who are this demonic realm, this shadim, want to entice us and manipulate us. And this is what
through a word of chaos.
through words, right?
Right.
That you think they sound good and it makes sense, right? And this is what happened to Israel over and over and over
This is what
again.
happened in the garden. We just saw.
This is what happened in the garden.
Yeah.
Israel never got it because they were always misunderstanding God's word. And then they would let demonic forces come in
and
manipulate them to twist God's word, right? So they never got it. That's why eventually they got kicked out of the land. Who kicked them out of the land? Babylon.
Right.
So the manifestation of their confusion was Babylon. See what I mean?
Right.
So God always uses whatever you sow, you reap, right? So if you sow confusion, you're going to reap confusion. That's why the ones who brought them into captivity was confusion, Babylon.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Babylon is a desert now.
Right.
Right? It's literally a desert
Right.
now. Which that's what it represents
Yeah.
because it's death. So all this stuff is in the Hebrew it's called haram or charam, which means devoted to destruction, right?
That's like Islam. They call it haram too.
They call it haram, but they
Yeah.
get that from the Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
And haram means, or haram means devoted to destruction. So it's like this, like when they would come and take the land, right? Take their land, they would say, devote these people to destruction. And what that means is their ways and the way they live needs to die, needs to cease, right? That's haram. It needs to cease. So if it ceases, it's not there anymore, right? That's what Jesus said one time, let the dead bury the dead, right? So whatever is dead needs to die. And when Jesus came, we're learning that what we used to do was our old life. That's what we're learning how to let die.
Yeah.
Right? We're bringing that out to the desert, out to the wilderness. We're allowing that to stay in the wilderness. And so think about Israel. Israel had to go through the wilderness for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
That number 40 is the number mem again, which is chaos, right? You learn how to live in chaos. You learn how to live in chaos. Everything you see is dead. But yet, if you seek God when all you see is death, you're coming into life. And that's the whole point of what Jesus said in John 10:10, because thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly.
Yeah.
So if you seek God, he's going to always lead you into life. But before you actually see it manifest, you have to see it. That means you have to trust him.
Right.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. So we're learning how to trust him, right? But you're seeing that like the ruler of this world is always enticing all these popular people, the ones who are making it, the ones who
the influential
ones, right? The elite. He's always influencing them because it's easy. It's easy to gain things. It's almost like a back door. Jesus says, I am the door.
Right.
If you go in any other way, you're a thief and a robber.
Yeah.
So they're going in a different way.
Right.
They're not entering in the gate. They're going in a different way, right? And so even though it looks, everything that they're doing seems amazing, seems good. They're getting fame. They're getting glory now. they're actually devoted for destruction. It's actually haram. Now what's funny is, where did those sons of God in the book of Enoch, those angels that came down and give humans things because they wanted women, what was that mountain called?
Vernon, was it
Hermon,
yeah.
which is
Vernon.
Mount Haram.
Oh wow, that's
Mount
funny.
Haram.
Wow, that's crazy.
So they came to Mount Haram,
right,
devoted to destruction, right?
Yeah.
It actually just means devoted, right? But it can mean devoted to destruction. So they devoted it to destruction. They left, it says that they left their first estate.
Yeah.
They left where they were supposed to be, and they lowered themselves, right, to rule over people.
Yeah.
To be glorified. And then that's the same thing that happened in Babylon.
Right.
In Babel, right? These sons of God were put over the nations. And I'm talking quick, but they were put over nations. So now you see all these sons of God, they lost their estate, or they lost their authority when Jesus came on the scene.
Wow.
So, like I said, the bar means word, right? So the whole time, what did Moses bring? Moses bring the word, right? He bring the law.
Yeah.
Right? But the problem is there's always misunderstanding. There was always a misunderstanding of the law.
Yeah.
Until what?
Jesus.
Until Christ came.
Yeah.
So when you misunderstand the law, you do things in vain. You do things with, it's actually empty. You know, you put everything in order, but there's nothing to fill it. Right? There's nothing that you build a house, it looks all nice but on the outside, right? You furnish it on the inside even, but there's nobody there to
life there, yeah.
to dwell in it, right? That's like the temple of God. That was the point of the temple, right?
Right.
So now what happens? You have God in the flesh who comes down and fulfills what no man could fulfill and brings understanding to what no man could understand. Right? He brings understanding. He fulfills the law and the prophets. So now you have the one who fulfills the law and the prophets that we can look to. But it's harder because it's very easy when you have things manipulating you and trying to entice you to go with them. Right? When you can't understand the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
And it makes it even easier if you're an atheist. Because now you don't think there's any spiritual realm.
Right.
So now
It's
you
do
think
what
your
thou
thoughts
wilt.
are just your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think everything I'm thinking is me.
It's my will.
Yeah. So now everything I'm thinking, well, that just has to be me. So I'm
Right.
just go with that,
I just
what I
follow
think.
my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't realize that you're the most influenced.
Right.
Right. So what has happened in this country?
Yeah.
Through do as thou wilt.
Right.
And all these things, and Oppenheimer, and you know the atomic. It's made this country more of a secular,
desert
country.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna reap, because the gods are gonna come back to claim what. If you make any agreement you make with these gods, they're evil.
Yeah.
They're coming to collect, right? So everything any agreement you make, which is what you do when you come in league with these type of gods or these demons, right? They're coming to collect. And you're seeing that happen little by little in this country.
Yeah.
You're seeing them coming to collect or claim what's theirs.
Yeah.
But here's the hope in the story is that it's not theirs. It's only theirs if you allow it to be.
Yeah.
Because
If you
it's
submit to
actually
it. Yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
It's actually, it all belongs to him.
Right.
But it's up to us to trust him and believe that it's his.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're not in bondage no matter what agreement we made.
Right.
You know how so many people are like, you don't know what I've done. You don't know you don't know the
been
things,
through.
you don't,
Yeah.
or not even what I've been through. I mean, like when people are like, you don't know what I've done
Yeah.
in this world. You don't know I deserve this stuff. But God died for you. Jesus God came in the flesh, Jesus, and
Right.
died for us and fulfilled all the requirements of the law so that we didn't have to be upholdent to these rulers, these
Yeah.
demonic forces that they're intelligent and they know how to bind us up, right? They know how to mess with our minds and make us think to destroy us,
right?
Because that's what they want.
Yeah, and I think it's even like now it's even worse and it's even harder because we grow up in a system where we don't even realize we're being controlled. We don't even realize we're under the spell of these demonic forces. And that's why it's so interesting to see people starting to realize it, starting to see like, wait a minute, all these things that we've been thinking are just normal or are just, you know, it's science and it's exciting and it's progressive.
Yeah,
it's actually demonic. You know, and it's that's why it's so interesting to see Candace like say that openly on her platform. She has a huge following, you know, and even like because we've always been saying that stuff on here. You know, we can only reach the people that have seen it, but she has so much more of a reach that it, you know, it feels good to see someone that will even crack that spell for people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yep.
And then lead them hopefully on a path to really see that God is the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's literally. I mean, think about it. If you're gonna go down that rabbit trail and think, well, there's demonic beings, right? There's a spirit realm, and there's these fallen, and you call them fallen because they're not where they used to be, right? Because they're not serving God anymore; they're serving themselves,
right?
And what's demonic about it, right? They have their own desires. They're selfish.
Yeah, their own
right?
will. Yeah,
they want to do it for themselves, right? Whatever they want to do. So, do you think you got any shot of winning against that? Like, if you really think you're going to outwit something, you can't even see into that realm.
Right.
Like, you can't even, you know what I mean? Unless you go in that way with them,
right?
But then you're being led by them, so you think they're going to lead you into truth?
Nope,
obviously not. So you're only. That's why Jesus says, "I am the gate."
Yeah,
you know, you go any other way, you're a thief and a robber.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff.
Isn't it funny how Jesus says, "I came to do the will of my Father."
Yep.
But they come to do their own will.
Yep.
Do as thy will. Like they want to do
Yep.
whatever they want because they're going totally against the Father.
Yeah. And that's why it's satanic.
Yep.
Because it's whatever they want to do. And that's why Jesus says that I serve my Father. And he says that the words I say come from my Father that's in heaven. But you don't hear them because he's not your father. Your father.
You are of your father, the devil. Yeah. Man, that's good stuff, man. Yeah, I hope she continues to like go down that path. She talked about it a little bit more today because she did mention Operation Paperclip. You know, but yeah, man, good stuff. That was a great connection, dude. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's wrap it up there, guys. Just above 2 hours. Actually started on time today. Felt good. We appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you guys for your support. Those that tune in every week, we appreciate you guys. If you're catching this on the replay, thank you for watching. If you made it to this point, hey, you want to support what we do, share this video, hit the like button, you know, help us get this information out there so people can see a different perspective, maybe break some spells off of other people that have just followed things their whole life without thinking about this or looking into it, researching Aleister Crowley. Look him up, man. Look him up. Look up Jack Parsons. Look up the origins of JPL. And yeah, if you want to support in other ways, we have the Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv. You can become a member over there and support what we do. You know, give to the things that you want to see grow. It's important to support the things that you want to grow so that they can continue to expand. And, you know, just if you want to throw some meat to the lions over here, you can hit us on the Cash App, $YoungLionTV. Just to help out with the, you know, the light bills and the wires and the things that we need to replace and all of that stuff. We appreciate all of the love. Also, we do have merch if you want to support what we do as well and get the hats and T-shirts and all that stuff. It is on our band website, Shatan.com/shop. You can go on over there to get the merch over there. Do want to mention to everybody we have a show coming up in a couple weeks. July 26th, we are at the City Winery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a fun show. A lot of the seats are gone already, so hit up the website at citywinery.com. We have the link for the tickets in our all of our descriptions and bios and all that stuff. You can get the Linktree link there to get tickets to the show. July 26th, City Winery in Philly. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for being here. Great show. See everybody next week. Peace.
Young lion go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room.